Section 1, the infinite scroll versus the finite self. Tired of feeling overwhelmed by the constant scrolling and negativity on social media? Discover how Stoic philosophy can help you cultivate inner peace amidst the digital noise. There's something almost hypnotic about the motion of your thumb sliding upward across the screen. Scroll, pause, like, scroll again. Another reel, another tweet, another opinion, another body, another joke, another outrage. The feed never ends, but your energy does. Your focus does. Your sense of self. That gets chipped away slowly, silently. It's in this modern battlefield, sleek, colorful, and always connected, that an ancient voice reemerges. Calm, quiet, inconveniently honest. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. What would a Stoic say about the feed you spend hours on each day? About the dopamine hits you didn't consent to? About the way your mood shifts after just 5 minutes online? Let's begin there. The nature of the infinite scroll. The term infinite scroll isn't just a design feature, it's a philosophical problem. You weren't designed for infinity. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. The human mind, especially a mind rooted in Stoic discipline, needs rhythm, endings, silence. But the feed doesn't end. There's no conclusion, no rest, no structure. It's just more. In Stoic thought, especially in the writings of Marcus Aurelius, there's this persistent return to the idea of the limited self. You are not endless. You are not permanent. And that's okay. In fact, that's beautiful because it gives shape to your values, your time, and your attention. Social media, by contrast, encourages you to forget that. It entices you into thinking you're missing out on something essential, so you stay. And stay, and stay. Even when your body aches, even when your eyes burn, even when your thoughts no longer feel like your own. What happens when we forget our limits? Let's try a small reflection. Imagine sitting down in the morning, phone in hand, telling yourself, just 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, your coffee is cold, your to-do list is untouched, and your mind is foggy, not because of what you saw, but because of how much you absorbed. Stoicism would not shame you for this. It would not say you're weak. Instead, it would ask gently, did that serve your soul? Was that in harmony with your nature? These are the questions Marcus Aurelius asked himself, not out of guilt, but out of curiosity, out of care. The Stoic self in a digital world. To be Stoic on social media doesn't mean becoming a digital hermit. It means remembering your finitude. It means walking into the feed as if walking into a marketplace, not to lose yourself, but to observe. To take only what nourishes. To know where the exit is. A Stoic recognizes that they cannot change the nature of others or the structure of platforms, but they can govern their response. That is the sacred space. Stoicism protects the space between stimulus and response. And that space is under siege in your phone. The goal isn't to abandon the phone, but to restore that sacred space. To hold a thought before reacting. To see a post and not spiral. To breathe before replying. To disconnect before being devoured. A practice for reclaiming the self. Try this the next time you open an app. Before you scroll, pause. Take one breath in, one breath out. Ask yourself, why am I here? What am I hoping to find? Am I still myself when I leave? You don't need to answer perfectly. You just need to ask. Repeatedly, mindfully, kindly. Because here's the thing. Stoicism was never about being a statue. It was about being a human, honest about weakness, but also fiercely protective of virtue. A Stoic view of digital overload. In letters to Lucilius, Seneca warned that a mind exposed to constant novelty loses its ability to reflect. He wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." It's as if he saw TikTok coming. What you need is not more exposure, but more intention, more boundaries, more deliberate slowness. In a world that profits from your distraction, Stoicism becomes a quiet rebellion. Not against the technology, but against the illusion that your worth depends on being always online, always liked, always reactive. You are not the sum of your screen time. You are not your follower count. You are not your hottest take. You are a soul, finite, fragile, powerful in restraint. Closing reflection. The self that scrolls versus the self that stands. When you scroll endlessly, who are you becoming? And when you stop even for 5 minutes, even just now, who returns? That perhaps is the most stoic question of all. Not how do I escape this world, but rather how do I remain myself in it? Let this be the beginning. Section 2. Comparison is the thief of joy. Unfollow it. Unlock the power of Stoic wisdom to navigate the challenges of social media and reclaim your mental well-being. Learn practical exercises and strategies to find peace in a digitally driven world. You log on, you see a photo, someone's perfect life, their smooth skin, their partner holding flowers, their luxury vacation, their achievement front and center, framed in filters and confetti. And then something happens inside you. Something tightens. Not always jealousy. Sometimes it's subtler than that. It's a quiet erosion of gratitude. A sense that what you have and who you are suddenly isn't enough. This is where Stoicism steps in, not to scold, but to free. Because what's being stolen here isn't time, it's joy. The invisible cost of constant comparison. Seneca once wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." In other words, pain often arises not from what's lacking, but from false ideas of what should be. Social media, in its relentless pace and polish, doesn't just show us what others have. It convinces us that we should have it too. It confuses someone else's moment with our permanent failure. It weaponizes highlight reels and makes them feel like personal shortcomings. And because it's silent, just a scroll, a glance, a tiny voice in your mind, you often don't even notice it happening until you feel it. That creeping dissatisfaction, that quiet not enoughness, that's what comparison steals. Not just your mood, but your clarity. Stoicism's shield value is internal. Epictetus was clear on one thing. External things, wealth, appearance, status, are not within your control. Therefore, they cannot define your worth. If you want to be proud of something, be proud of what is truly yours, your choices. What someone else posts is their external. What you feel about it is your internal. The Stoic shift is this: instead of saying, "they have more than me," say, "what I feel is mine to master." This isn't detachment, it's discipline. You don't need to stop seeing other people's lives. You need to start seeing them without abandoning your own. A practical reframe from comparison to curiosity. Here's a small but powerful Stoic exercise. Next time you feel triggered by someone's success online, pause. Instead of asking, "Why not me?" ask, "What did I assume this would give them? Do I even value the same things? What would a wise person admire here, if anything?" Let your envy become a compass, not toward their life, but toward your values. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "Don't set your mind on things you don't possess." Instead, count the blessings you do possess and think how much you would desire them if they weren't already yours. That's not a motivational quote. It's a strategy for emotional stability. Unfollowing as a moral act. You are not obligated to consume what harms your peace. That's worth repeating. You are not obligated to consume what harms your peace. In a Stoic life, unfollowing someone is not an act of rejection. It's an act of responsibility. You wouldn't walk daily into a store that made you feel worthless. Why do it digitally? Curate your feed with intention. Follow people who educate, uplift, or invite reflection. And if someone's presence continually disrupts your ability to stay grounded, let go without anger, without drama, just as you would set aside food that doesn't nourish you. The true measure of influence. Ask yourself, who influences me, not who I follow, but who alters me emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. The Stoics understood that your inner circle, even if it's digital, shapes your ethos. That is the tone of your life. If your feed is mostly noise vanity, outrage, or falsehood, your mind will mirror that chaos. If it's filled with wisdom, laughter, beauty, and thoughtful challenges, your inner world becomes sturdier. You become a better version of yourself, not by force, but by design. A daily digital practice, the Stoic scroll. Try this before or after you open your app. Pre-scroll check-in. Ask, what am I hoping to feel from this? If the answer is unclear, don't open the app. Mid-scroll awareness. After 5 minutes, pause and name your feeling. Not just fine or bad. Go deeper. Distracted, ashamed, inspired, pressured. Post-scroll debrief. Ask, what did I just feed my mind? Would a wise person call it nourishment or noise? This kind of awareness builds the core Stoic virtue. Prudence, the ability to choose what aligns with your highest self. You versus you, the only comparison that matters. You are not in competition with strangers. Your only opponent is your former self, the one who knew less, feared, more doubted deeply, or forgot their worth. The Stoics never asked, am I ahead of others? They asked, am I better than I was yesterday in judgment, in kindness, in freedom? That's your scorecard. Not likes, not engagement, not followers, just am I becoming wiser, freer, kinder? If yes, then you're winning. Final reflection, when you look at someone else's joy online, what story do you start telling yourself? Is it true? Does it honor you? And would the person you want to become believe it? The Stoic path doesn't demand that you renounce the world, only that you stop letting it rewrite your self-worth. You're not what others post. You are what you practice. And today, maybe, just maybe, you can practice peace. Section 3, notifications are not commands. What if social media could be a source of strength and tranquility instead of anxiety and stress? Join me as we explore the secrets of Stoic philosophy and discover how to transform your online experience. Ding. The sound is small, almost harmless. Yet somehow it slices through the quiet of your room. It pulls your eyes. It interrupts your thought. Makes your hand twitch almost involuntarily toward the screen. A message, a like, a reply, a reminder. What it is doesn't even matter. The body responds before the mind can process. And just like that, your peace is gone, traded for anticipation, curiosity, or even dread. You didn't choose to look. You reacted. And this is where Stoic philosophy becomes more relevant than ever. Because one of its core truths is this: just because something calls for your attention doesn't mean you owe it a response. Reclaiming the space between stimulus and response. The Stoics taught that external events are neutral. Only your judgment makes them good or bad. That message you just received, it's nothing. Your decision to read it immediately, to let it break your concentration, to let it color your mood, that's where your power lies. It's not things that upset us, said Epictetus, but our judgments about those things. This might be the most subversive idea in a hyper-connected world. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to not respond immediately. You are allowed to guard your inner space, from technology to tyranny. When does a tool become a tyrant? When it no longer waits for your command, but commands you. Notifications are tools, yes, but they've been engineered with one goal: to capture and hold your attention. Not for your benefit, but for engagement, for time, for money. That's not evil, but it's not neutral either. And if we don't approach them mindfully, they take over. The phone pings, you check. Then the app pings again, you respond. And the day becomes a series of reactions, not reflections. You end the day exhausted, not because you did so much, but because you responded to so much. That is not freedom. That is digital servitude. The Stoic response: delay the reaction. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the delay. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the emperor of Rome, wrote frequently about not reacting impulsively, even when faced with war, betrayal, or power struggles. If he could pause before responding to Roman senators, you can pause before checking Instagram. Try this. When your phone buzzes, wait 5 seconds. Ask, do I need this now, or is this just a reflex? Then choose, not compulsively but consciously. That moment of pause is not weakness. It is discipline, the very heart of Stoicism. A daily practice: silence the noise. Here's an experiment. For one day, turn off all non-essential notifications. No social apps, no comment alerts, no badge counters, just the basics. Phone calendar messages from people who truly matter. Notice what returns. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's clarity. Because when the noise stops, your thoughts come back. You remember what you were doing, what you cared about, who you are. It's not about quitting social media. It's about refusing to be summoned by it like a servant. Inner freedom versus outer distraction, and Epictetus reminded his students again and again. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. But his idea of freedom wasn't about travel or money. It was about mastery over self. The ability to say yes or no from choice, not compulsion. Today, freedom often looks like this: choosing not to reply immediately to that angry comment. Choosing not to open that app the moment you feel bored. Choosing not to let your day be shaped by algorithms. You reclaim your day one choice at a time. The tyranny of urgency. One of the greatest lies social media tells is that everything is urgent. You must comment now. You must reply now. You must see this now or miss out forever. But Stoicism reminds us that time is ours to govern, not theirs to steal. What if you only checked your messages twice a day? What if you responded after a walk, a breath, a full night's sleep? Would the world fall apart, or would it finally slow down? Notifications and the nervous system beyond philosophy. There's physiology. Every alert triggers a spike in cortisol, a jolt of adrenaline, a tiny flicker of fight or flight. Now multiply that by 50 times a day or 200. No wonder you're tired. No wonder your thoughts feel scattered. You weren't meant to live in a state of constant partial attention. The Stoics didn't know neuroscience, but they knew the feel of a calm mind. They cultivated it deliberately through silence, through slow reflection, through solitude. You can do the same. Even now. Even here. Final reflection, you are the gatekeeper. Think of yourself not as a user of social media, but as a gatekeeper of your attention. Your time is a temple. Your focus is sacred. Your notifications, just passing travelers, some may enter, most may not. You decide. That's not just self-care, that's philosophy, that's strength, that's Stoicism. Section 4, Practicing Digital Temperance. The social media landscape today. The pervasiveness of social media in modern life, the constant bombardment of information and stimuli, and the impact of social media on mental well-being. It starts before your feet even touch the ground. Still wrapped in morning grogginess, you reach for the screen, glowing beside your bed. In seconds, you're not in your room anymore. You're on someone's vacation, in the middle of a celebrity scandal, watching a war unfold, laughing at a meme, skimming 5 arguments, ignoring 3 messages, comparing, absorbing, reacting. And the sun hasn't even risen yet. We live in a digital arena that never sleeps, never pauses, never says enough. The Stoics, who lived centuries before the first notification sound ever existed, warned about something eerily similar. They called it pleonexia, the insatiable desire for more. More information, more attention, more novelty. But what they taught as the antidote remains just as powerful today, Temperance. Not abstinence, not denial, discipline, moderation, inner clarity. A world without walls. Social media is no longer an accessory to life. It is woven into the fabric of how we work, learn, communicate, relate, and even understand ourselves. From the moment you wake up to the last blink before sleep, the feed follows you. Sometimes in your pocket, sometimes in your palm, sometimes even in your dreams. Never before in human history have we been so surrounded by voices not our own. This isn't a complaint, it's a recognition. A Stoic would not whine about the presence of tools, but they would ask, are you using the tool, or is it using you, the invisible cost of constant input? Every time you open an app, you consume not food but information. Images, emotions, opinions, stories, conflicts, celebrations. It may seem harmless, but like overeating, over-consuming information leaves the mind bloated, sluggish, unable to digest. Seneca once warned, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. When your attention is spread thin, checking 5 conversations while half reading an article, while watching a video, while replying to a DM, where exactly are you? Nowhere grounded, nowhere present, nowhere still. And over time, that creates fatigue. Not the obvious kind, but the quiet kind that sits behind your eyes, making it harder to think, to decide to simply be. Mental clutter and the erosion of well-being. There's a reason so many feel anxious, unfocused, or emotionally drained after being online. The brain doesn't just record what it sees, it responds. That beautiful vacation post, it might trigger longing or envy or shame. That news headline, fear, frustration, helplessness. That heated comment thread, a spike in cortisol, a clenched jaw, 1,000 fake arguments rehearsed in your head. And these responses stack. Moment by moment, scroll by scroll, until you're carrying a mental load that doesn't even belong to you. A Stoic might ask, is this truly necessary? Does this help me live wisely, justly, and with peace? If not, why are you still letting it in? Digital temperance, the forgotten virtue. Temperance isn't popular in today's world. It doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't promise you'll win the algorithm, but it does something deeper. It restores your sanity. To practice temperance in the digital realm is to say, I don't need to check right now. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to react to every opinion. This is not withdrawal. This is command. It's knowing when enough is enough, not because the world tells you, but because you've decided. Practical Stoic tools for modern overload. Here are some simple exercises, not rules, but invitations. The rule of one. When scrolling, try focusing on just one post. Read it slowly, reflect, then stop, ask, what did I learn? What did I feel? Was it worth it? The digital fast, choose 1 hour a day or 1 day a week where you engage in no screens, no phones, no social media, just life. Notice what surfaces in the silence. The content audit, go through your follow list. For each account, ask, does this help me live better? If not, consider muting or unfollowing or replacing it with something nourishing. These aren't punishments. They are acts of self-respect. The Stoics balance exposure versus equanimity. You don't need to fear social media, but you do need to face it with awareness, with boundaries, and with clarity. The Stoic doesn't hide from the world, but neither do they drown in it. They stand calmly amidst the storm of input, not because they are immune, but because they have chosen to respond rather than react. You can scroll, you can engage, you can even post, but always with one eye turned inward, asking, am I still in control? Do I still recognize myself in this moment? Is this helping me become who I wish to be? If yes, continue. If not, return to center. Final reflection, enough is a decision. Social media doesn't have an end, but you do. You have edges, limits, needs, cycles, sacred rhythms that need care, not constant disruption. Temperance isn't a punishment, it's a compass. It doesn't ask you to abandon the digital world, it simply whispers, come back when you're ready. Leave when you must. And while you're here, remember who you are. Section 5, curate your feed like a garden of the soul. The Stoic perspective, Stoicism as a philosophy emphasizing control over one's thoughts and emotions with key principles of acceptance, reason, and virtue, and its approach to managing the digital age. To live well, the Stoics believed, is to live in accordance with nature. But in today's world, nature no longer just means the forest, the mountains, or the ocean. It also means the terrain of your thoughts, the patterns of your habits, and perhaps most urgently, the digital landscape you expose yourself to every single day. In the ancient world, Epictetus advised his students to be cautious, not only of what they consumed with their mouths, but also with their minds. Today, that warning echoes in the form of a very simple modern truth. Your feed shapes your soul, and a Stoic wouldn't let just anyone plant seeds there. The digital garden metaphor. Imagine your social media feed as a garden. Each post you see, each tweet, video, headline, selfie, or story is a seed. Some are nourishing, others are weeds. Some inspire growth, others poison slowly. Now ask yourself, would you let a stranger walk into your garden and dump trash over your favorite plants? Would you allow someone to stomp through it, shouting, mocking, tearing down your trees? Because that's what happens silently, invisibly, every day you scroll with no awareness. Stoicism teaches us to choose, not just once, but repeatedly, intentionally, mindfully. And in this metaphor, curating your feed isn't about being picky, it's about being free. Core Stoic principle, control what you can. At the heart of Stoicism lies a single powerful division. Some things are up to us and some are not. Epictetus. The behavior of others. Not up to you. The structure of the algorithm. Not up to you. The content people choose to post, also not up to you. But your response, your interpretation, your attention, that is up to you. And your feed, though influenced by others, is largely a result of your own repeated choices. Every like, comment, save, and follow becomes a signal that shapes what the algorithm shows you next. In other words, you train your digital world every time you engage with it. A Stoic trains it with intention, not impulse. Acceptance does not mean passive consumption. Some mistake Stoicism for passivity, a kind of accept whatever happens attitude, but that's not true. Stoicism, that's resignation. The real Stoic accepts what cannot be changed and then turns inward to master the self. When it comes to social media, acceptance might look like this. Yes, negativity exists online. Yes, some people will be cruel or arrogant. Yes, I will encounter misinformation or drama. But that doesn't mean you have to let it into your daily life. The Stoic responds, I will choose what I allow in, and I will protect my peace without apology. Virtue in the age of the feed. Stoicism centers on 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Now imagine applying each to your online experience. Wisdom, do I understand the effect this content has on my mind? Courage, can I unfollow what's popular but toxic? Temperance. Am I indulging too often, too long, too carelessly? Justice. Am I contributing positively or just consuming endlessly? These aren't moralistic questions. They are spiritual hygiene. Because every click is a vote not just for what you see, but for who you become. The Stoic approach. Minimalism with meaning. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, lived simply. He wrote his private journals not as a ruler, but as a seeker of virtue. What would he say today? Probably this: if it does not help you live a better life, discard it. That applies to the clutter in your home and the clutter in your feed. A Stoic digital minimalist doesn't avoid the internet. They refine it. They use the tools of modernity but refuse to be mastered by them. Their phone is not their prison. It's their platform for virtue. Practical exercise, a feed audit with Stoic eyes. Take 5 minutes today to do this. Scroll through your social media timeline. For each post, ask, did this elevate me? Did this ground me? Did this teach me something or drain me? If the answer is no more than yes, act. Unfollow, mute, reorganize, replace. Add one account that inspires wisdom or encourages calm. You don't need to burn down the garden. You just need to weed it gently, deliberately. What you consume, you become. We like to believe that we can scroll endlessly and remain unchanged. But every input leaves a mark. The Stoics knew this. That's why they urged vigilance, not paranoia, but awareness. If you consume fear, you will carry anxiety. If you consume outrage, you will walk with anger. If you consume shallowness, you will feel empty. But if you consume clarity, depth, stillness, humor, and truth, then something in you will grow slowly, quietly, beautifully. Final reflection. Your mind is sacred ground. In a world that profits from your distraction, choosing what enters your mind is an act of rebellion. The Stoic doesn't just guard their peace, they cultivate it. So ask yourself, before the next scroll, am I tending my soul or exposing it? Is this helping me flourish or fragment? Because in the garden of your mind, you are both the gatekeeper and the gardener. Choose what you plant, and choose it with love. Section 6, Fame is empty. Virtue is full. Stoic practices for social media, cultivating mindfulness, setting boundaries, and reframing your perspective from external validation to internal growth. You post something you're proud of, a story that matters to you, a thought you believe is true, a piece of art or a small win in your day. You press share, and for a moment you feel something. Hope, nervousness, anticipation. You wait. The first like comes, then another, a comment, maybe silence. And suddenly, what once felt like an honest expression becomes a test, a measure of how others respond. Was it good enough? Was I good enough? This cycle is invisible but powerful, and it quietly turns a tool for communication into a mirror for self-worth. The Stoic view on recognition. The Stoics were not against praise, but they were deeply skeptical of fame, especially the kind that depended on others' attention and approval. Marcus Aurelius warned against chasing the crowd's applause, writing, "It's all worthless, the clapping of tongues, the approval of men, the echoes of popularity. Seek only to be worthy in your own eyes." This wasn't cynicism, it was clarity. Because when you live for likes, you become owned by them. And when you depend on recognition, your sense of value swings with every scroll. Mindfulness, the art of inner awareness. Cultivating mindfulness, not in a vague or spiritual way, but in the Stoic sense, means this: to know what you're feeling while you're feeling it. So the next time you're online, try this. As you scroll, pause every few minutes. Name what arises: jealousy, anxiety, curiosity, sadness, emptiness. Ask yourself, where did that come from? Is this thought mine or planted by what I'm seeing? This is not self-judgment. This is self-knowledge. You cannot master what you will not first observe. Boundary setting, a discipline of the wise. No great Stoic was without boundaries. They rose early to write. They carved space for reflection. They chose solitude when needed, even in crowded cities. So, what would it mean to draw boundaries around your digital life? Start small. Time limits. Set a fixed amount of time for social media use. Use a timer and honor it like a sacred appointment. Fasting periods. Choose one day a week or one evening a day to log off entirely. No scrolling, just stillness. App relocation. Move your social apps off your home screen. Make them less convenient. Reintroduce effort into the choice. These aren't punishments. They're reminders that you are in charge. The Stoic seeks not just freedom from something, but freedom for something. For deeper thought, for meaningful work, for connection that isn't fractured by constant checking. Reframing from applause to alignment. Reframing is the Stoic art of changing your perspective, not to deny reality, but to regain control over how you relate to it. When you post online, ask yourself, am I sharing this for truth or for approval? If no one likes this, will I still stand by it? Does this reflect the kind of person I'm becoming? The goal isn't to stop posting. It's to post with clarity, not craving. Marcus Aurelius again. Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. This is your sanity, your anchor in a world that rewards chasing shadows. A Stoic exercise, the mirror and the flame. Try this reflection tonight. Sit quietly with your phone turned off. Close your eyes and recall a post you made recently. Ask, why did I share it? What did I hope would happen? What actually happened? Now ask, did this move me closer to virtue? Did it align with courage, wisdom, or honesty? The Stoics used nightly self-review as a form of inner strengthening. You can do the same digitally. Shifting from outer metrics to inner mastery, followers can be bought. Likes can be faked. Trends rise and fall. But your character, that's yours to build. Every day you spend online is another day you shape who you're becoming. So stop asking, how did the post perform, and start asking, what kind of person am I becoming through the way I use this tool? Because if social media is a mirror, then let it reflect discipline, kindness, and clarity, not the hollow chase for attention. Final reflection: the platform is not the problem. Perspective is. The Stoics never blamed the world. They trained themselves to meet the world with strength. You don't need to leave social media to find peace. You need to enter it with awareness, use it with limits, and relate to it not as a master, but as a servant of your highest values. Let others chase fame. You're chasing something deeper, and in that you've already won. Section 7, respond, don't react. Navigating social media with intention. Identifying triggers, avoiding unhealthy comparisons, engaging with content that promotes well-being, and using social media as a tool for connection and learning. There's a subtle difference between reaction and response, but it changes everything. A reaction is fast, emotional, impulsive. A response is deliberate, thoughtful, rooted in awareness. Social media is designed to provoke reactions to keep you moving, clicking, arguing, judging. But the Stoic path, it leads in the opposite direction, toward stillness, toward intention, toward the freedom of choosing your next move. You are not here to be manipulated by pixels and pace. You are here to meet the digital world with virtue. Identifying emotional triggers. Start here. Pay attention to the moment something online shakes you. It might be a photo that makes you feel behind in life, a tweet that pulls your anger like a magnet, a news story that leaves you hopeless. These moments, small but sharp, are not to be ignored. They're signposts, invitations. A Stoic doesn't run from discomfort. They walk toward it with open eyes. Ask, what emotion is this creating in me? What belief is being touched? Is this a true threat or just a trigger? Epictetus wrote, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, no post can harm you without your permission. And when you learn to see the trigger, you begin to reclaim the power it holds over you. Intention over impulse. The next time your thumb floats over the comment button, pause. Just a second. And ask, is this reaction coming from ego or clarity? Will this add meaning or just noise? Am I defending virtue or defending my image? This is not about silencing yourself. It's about speaking from strength, not insecurity. A single breath can be the difference between regret and restraint. Choosing content that nourishes. Not all content is toxic. Not all scrolling is empty. There is beauty, truth, wisdom, and humor online if you look for it with the right eyes. To navigate social media with Stoic clarity means curating your input like you would your diet. Ask, does this feed calm or chaos? Does it help me grow, reflect, or connect? Would I recommend this to someone I love? Marcus Aurelius warned of entertainments that fracture the soul, but he also kept close to him writings that soothed, reminded, and strengthened his clarity. Today, that might mean following creators who teach you to think more clearly, saving posts that invite you to breathe, sharing content that reflects your values, not just your opinions. You become what you consume, and that includes your feed. Connection over comparison. Stoicism reminds us that we are part of something larger, not isolated fragments, but participants in a shared human experience. Social media can amplify isolation or connection. It all depends on how you engage. Comparison is easy, but community that takes intention. Instead of passively watching others reach out, share appreciation, ask real questions, uplift someone else's voice. Seneca wrote that a wise person is a helper to all. That doesn't stop at the screen. Your digital presence can be a source of kindness, not performance. A Stoic digital practice. Respond with virtue. Here's a challenge for the next time you go online. Pause before posting. Ask, what virtue am I practicing here? Courage, honesty, justice, kindness. Transform jealousy into curiosity. When someone's success triggers comparison, reframe. What can I learn from their discipline or choices? Use praise wisely. Celebrate others without seeking anything in return. A true compliment is free of agenda. Leave more space than words. Not every thought needs a reaction. Silence, like in Stoic journals, can speak volumes. Intentionality as a form of freedom. You don't need to quit social media to live well, but you do need to wake up to how you're using it and how it's using you. Freedom isn't found in disconnection. It's found in discipline. And discipline starts with intention. With deciding what you engage with, why you engage, who you become in the process. Final reflection. Who are you when no one is watching? In the quiet after you log off, when the likes stop, when the world forgets who remains. Are you proud of how you showed up? Did you move closer to truth, to virtue, to your own definition of peace? Stoicism is not about withdrawing from the world. It's about walking through it screen and all, with eyes open, feet steady, and heart anchored. You're not here to react. You're here to respond wisely, kindly, and with the clarity of someone who remembers you are not your profile. You are your practice. Section 8. Remember the view from above. Zooming out in a zoomed-in world. Seeing the bigger picture of life, reconnecting with what matters, and using the Stoic view from above to navigate the chaos of social media with clarity and calm. Sometimes it only takes a step back to realize how small things really are. That angry comment, that viral controversy, that feeling you're missing out on everything. When you're in the middle of it, your eyes close to the screen, your thumb endlessly scrolling, it feels enormous. Like this moment, this app, this opinion is everything. But it's not. Not to the universe, not to your soul, not to the person you're becoming over a lifetime. And the Stoics had a name for this kind of shift, the view from above. What is the view from above? Marcus Aurelius practiced a thought experiment again and again. He imagined himself rising above the earth slowly, gently, until cities became specks. People became dots and arguments became dust. From that vantage point, perspective returns. He wrote, observe the movement of the stars as if you were running alongside them. Reflect also on the countless transitions of elements into one another. This isn't escapism. It's mental recalibration, and it works just as powerfully today in the age of social media as it did in ancient Rome. Why we get trapped in the feed? Social media magnifies the trivial. It takes the smallest stimulus, a comment, a post, a piece of news, and brings it so close to your eyes that it feels like the whole world. Your focus narrows. Your emotions swell. You forget that this moment is not the totality of life. That's why we argue. That's why we spiral. That's why we feel so small while constantly consuming content that was never meant to define us. But when you zoom out emotionally, spiritually, you find something Stoicism teaches well. Calm is clarity, a Stoic reframe. You are part of something vast. Marcus would remind himself that he was a little soul carrying around a corpse. It sounds dark, but it was liberating. Because when you remember your scale in the universe, the urgency fades, the ego softens, the emotional noise begins to quiet. So ask Will, this still matter in a year? Would I care about this if I were watching my life from space? Is this conflict worthy of my peace? You don't ignore problems, but you no longer inflate them. You respond from your higher self, not your smallest one. Practical practice. Try the view from above today. Set your phone down, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Then imagine you are rising above your room, your home, your street, your city, your country. Keep going until the whole earth hangs below you like a marble in space. From up here, who are you? What really matters? What honestly doesn't? You may feel small at first and then strangely expansive. Because from up there, you're not less. You're free. Letting go of the noise. The Stoics teach that peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the refusal to be ruled by it. So next time something online stirs you, don't react right away. Step back metaphorically or literally. Reconnect with your highest self. You might still respond, but from a place of wisdom, not war. Digital clarity. Through cosmic perspective, imagine this shift. Instead of seeing your phone as a portal to distraction, you begin to see it as a place to practice awareness, to observe your reactions, to monitor your emotions, to remember how fleeting this all is. And then from that awareness, you choose peace. Seneca said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Yet he laughed often, loved deeply, lived freely, because he understood life is brief. Let's not waste it being angry on the internet. Connection beyond the screen. The view from above also reminds us of what's real: the people around you, the air you breathe, the sound of your own thoughts, the friends you can call, the hands you can hold. You are not a collection of pixels. You are a living, breathing presence, and your life deserves more than constant distraction. Final reflection. Remember, the whole social media shrinks your vision. The Stoic view expands it. When you're overwhelmed by comments, followers, opinions, or updates, pause. Breathe, zoom out. You are a moment in time, yes, but you're also connected to all time. You are small, but your peace is vast. And the world, it will go on with or without your reaction. So why not meet it with calm? Section 9. Logging off is an act of strength. Sometimes walking away is not giving up, it's waking up. Discover why logging off social media even briefly is not weakness, but the ultimate Stoic expression of inner freedom and power. You don't need to announce it, you don't need to post a farewell story, you don't need to explain, you don't need to justify. Sometimes the most powerful decision is the quiet one. Logging off may seem small, even silly, but in a world that trains you to be constantly online, constantly visible, constantly reacting, choosing absence is not retreat, it is strength. The courage to step away. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it." Social media thrives on desire to be seen, to be updated, to belong, to matter. When you log off even temporarily, you are not escaping. You are training. You are reminding yourself that your value is not tethered to attention. This doesn't mean becoming antisocial. It means becoming sovereign. You can love people without liking every post. You can stay informed without being overwhelmed. You can be connected without being chained. Reclaiming the power of absence. We often believe the myth that being out of the loop is dangerous, that we'll fall behind, miss something vital, be forgotten. But the Stoics remind us that the loop is often the problem. Being constantly entangled in the world's noise dilutes your ability to hear your own voice. When you log off, here's what returns silence, not emptiness, but space. Focus not from urgency, but from clarity. Self, not the one constructed online, but the one that breathes without feedback. Stoic strength is restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." The digital world interrupts constantly. It shouts, it distracts. It keeps you leaning forward, never rooted. But the Stoic trains their strength not by pushing against everything, but by withholding when it matters most. Logging off isn't about avoidance, it's about knowing when enough is enough. It's about choosing rest over reactivity, depth over updates, reality over relevance. The practice of digital Sabbaths. Try this once a week. Commit to a digital Sabbath. Turn off your phone for half a day or the whole day. Tell only those who truly need to reach you. Step away from all platforms. Read, walk, think, nap, reflect, write. You might feel discomfort at first, the phantom reach for the phone, the mind asking, "What am I missing?" But slowly you'll remember something older than any app. You are not here to keep up. You are here to wake up. Absence sharpens presence. Logging off doesn't just offer relief, it recalibrates your sense of presence. The first meal without your phone tastes different. The first walk without headphones feels longer, deeper. The first conversation without glancing at a screen feels alive. This is Stoic presence, full grounded, undivided. When you return to the digital space after a pause, you do so with choice, with boundaries, with clarity. Not like a drifting boat in an algorithmic sea, but like a captain charting your own course. Leaving the party gracefully. You're allowed to walk away from conversations that do not honor your peace. You're allowed to leave rooms where you're no longer growing. You're allowed to go offline, not because you're fragile, but because you're free. You are not missing out. You are opting into yourself, your mind, your breath, your real life, a reflection ritual. The 3-question check-in. Before you log off for your digital Sabbath, ask yourself, what has this week of social media taught me about myself, others, or the world? What am I carrying emotionally that doesn't belong to me? What do I hope to hear again in the silence? Write your answers down. Not to share, not to perform, just to remember. The Stoics journaled not to be seen, but to see themselves clearly. You can do the same. Final reflection. The strength to leave the noise. There's nothing passive about peace. It takes strength to walk away when everyone else is leaning in. It takes strength to sit with silence while the world scrolls past. It takes strength to say, this is enough for now. You are not your feed. You are not your posts. You are not the person the internet wants you to be. You are the one who can step away and return with deeper vision. Because sometimes the most Stoic move is simply to log off. Section 10. Don't argue with strangers, it's a trap. In a world obsessed with winning debates and defending opinions online, Stoicism teaches us a quieter, wiser path to choose peace over performance, clarity over conflict, and virtue over validation. It begins innocently, A post you disagree with? A comment that feels wrong or worse, offensive? Your heart beats a little faster, your fingers twitch, your mind gears up. You type a reply. Sharp, maybe witty. You hit send. And now, you're in it. The argument escalates. New people pile in, logic bends, emotions flare, and when it's all over, what remains? Not peace, not truth, just fatigue. A small war in a comment thread with no winner only echoes why online arguments feel so urgent. Social media gives everyone a voice, which is beautiful, but it also gives everyone a stage, which is dangerous. Because when you're being watched, you're more likely to defend ego over insight, to perform rather than reflect. The Stoics knew this impulse well. Epictetus advised if someone is mistaken, instruct them gently or remain silent. But today, remaining silent can feel like surrender. We want to correct, to counter, to prove. The result. We often trade serenity for applause we never receive. The Stoic response to provocation. A core Stoic teaching is that you are responsible only for your own judgments, not for others' ignorance. This doesn't mean silence in the face of injustice, but it does mean choosing when and how to speak with care. You may feel the need to reply, to explain, to challenge, but before you do, ask, is this a discussion or a performance? Is this person willing to listen or simply to win? Will this serve truth or just my pride? If the answers lead to no, then walk away. Not because you lost, but because you won the only battle that matters, the one within. Clarity over conflict. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. That comment that insulted you, that person who mocked you, they are not yours to control. Your task is to remain in alignment with your values, not to mirror someone else's fire. You may not get the last word, but you get the last thought. And that's where peace begins. The hidden cost of arguing with strangers. Every moment you spend arguing with someone who doesn't respect your mind is a moment you've stolen from your own growth. Think of what you trade in those interactions. Mental clarity, emotional calm, creative focus. Time you could spend learning, resting, or being present with those who matter. Stoicism is a philosophy of preserving energy, of investing it only where it leads to virtue. An argument without purpose is a leak in your soul. A Stoic practice, the inner pause. The next time you're tempted to reply in anger, try this pause for 10 seconds. Say aloud or write, is this necessary? Ask, what outcome am I truly seeking? Consider. Would silence serve me better? Sometimes restraint is the highest form of courage. Let others be wrong. Peacefully. This might be the hardest Stoic lesson of all. Let others be wrong. Let them misinterpret. Let them shout. Let them mock. Let them believe whatever they need to believe. And you continue your work, your growth, your inner training. You stay silent, not because you're afraid, but because your peace matters more than your pride. The virtue of detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It's not apathy. It's choosing your center so firmly that no one else's chaos can pull you off track. In the heat of a thread, when someone calls you names or twists your meaning, detachment looks like this. You read it, you breathe, you let it go, and you go back to your life, which, unlike that comment, actually matters. Final reflection when the only argument that matters. The goal is not to silence others, it's to silence the noise within you that demands to be right, to be seen, to be validated. You are not your argument. You are not your opinion. You are not your defense of truth. You are a soul, steady, quiet, observing, choosing. And when you choose not to engage in battles that don't serve your peace, you are not losing. You are walking away with everything that matters. Section 11, the algorithm is not your master. In a world where algorithms decide what you see, feel, and even believe, Stoicism reminds you of a deeper truth. You are not a product, you are a person. And you still have the power to choose what guides your mind. You scroll through your feed and think you're in control. But look closely. What you see, who appears, what trends, what outrages you, delights you, pulls you deeper is not random. It's chosen for you, crafted to capture, designed to keep. Every post, every image, every ad a nudge, a whisper. This is what you should care about. This is what you should want. This is who you should become. The algorithm isn't evil, it's just efficient. But it doesn't care about your peace, and that's where Stoicism steps in. The nature of the algorithm. The algorithm's goal is simple attention. It learns what triggers you, what keeps your eyes locked, your thumb moving, your heart reacting. It doesn't aim for truth. It aims for engagement. But the Stoics didn't define life by what draws you in. They defined it by what you return to when the world tries to pull you apart. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In the digital age, the outside events are algorithmic, but your mind's still yours. The illusion of control. You might think I choose what I follow. I shape my own feed. Yes, to a degree. But remember, every like, every pause, every click sends a signal. And over time, the machine learns. It doesn't just follow your habits, it reinforces them. It creates a loop. Fear breeds more fear. Anger attracts more outrage. Vanity chases more comparison. The algorithm offers what it thinks you want, but the Stoic asks, is this what I truly need? Reclaiming digital sovereignty. The Stoic path is about intention, living by principle, not impulse. So, how do you take back control? Interrupt the loop. Stop engaging mindlessly. Pause. Breathe. Notice what you're seeing and how it makes you feel. Refuse to be trained. Just because content is suggested doesn't mean it deserves your attention. Scroll past the sensational. Reward the sincere. Curate consciously. Follow voices that speak to your higher self. Mute those that stir the lower. Check your mood, not your feed. If you feel drained after scrolling, ask, did I learn something? Did I grow, or was I just fed? The algorithm learns from you, but more importantly, you learn from the algorithm, and what you learn can either sharpen or scatter you. Freedom is a practice, Seneca warned. If you do not know to which port you are sailing, no wind is favorable. If you enter the digital world without direction, the algorithm becomes your compass. It points and you follow. But if you move with clarity, guided by your principles, your values, your purpose, then even the noisiest feed cannot lead you astray. This is what freedom looks like today, knowing when to stop scrolling. Choosing thought over clickbait. Listening to your conscience more than your notifications. The inner algorithm. There's another algorithm, older, deeper, quieter. Your own. Your mind filters reality shapes. Perception builds habits. And just like a feed, it reflects what you practice. If you practice anger, you will see injustice everywhere. If you practice gratitude, you will see beauty in small things. If you practice wisdom, you will begin to see through the fog. The Stoics weren't interested in artificial intelligence. They were building inner intelligence, the kind that sees clearly, acts justly, and chooses serenity in a sea of noise. You can train that algorithm too. A practice audit. your digital soul. Once a week, try this. Look at your screen time report. Where does your energy go? Reflect on your top 5 followed accounts. Do they align with who you want to be? Review your most engaged posts. Were they real expressions or algorithm chasers? Ask, am I using this tool or has it started using me? Don't judge, don't shame, just notice, then choose again with intention. Final reflection, let the algorithm serve, not rule. You are not helpless in the face of technology. You are not a data point. You are not a passive consumer. You are a soul with the ability to pause, to question, to rise above. The algorithm may predict behavior, but it cannot predict consciousness. It cannot predict virtue. It cannot predict the moment you decide to take your power back. Let the machine do what it does. And you remember who you are. Not a follower, but a philosopher in a digital age. Section 12. Use social media, don't let it use you. You were not born to be a product, a profile, or a prisoner of your own screen. You were born to live wisely, courageously, and freely. Let Stoicism guide you not away from social media, but through it. The app opens with a flick, and with it, the flood begins. Stories adds opinions, faces outrage, beauty, algorithms, filters, comparisons, all cascading into your field of vision before your first full breath. It's tempting to believe that you're just a bystander, that you're here to observe, to absorb, to consume, but that is not the Stoic way. A Stoic doesn't drift. A Stoic directs. You are not here to be pulled around by every trend post or impulse. You are here to choose how you engage wisely, firmly, gently, and above all, you are here to remember you use the tool. The tool does not use you. The nature of tools. The Stoics often reminded their students that external things, wealth, politics, status, were tools, neither good nor bad by themselves. What mattered was how you used them. Social media is no different. It can distract or illuminate. It can exhaust or inspire. It can fragment or connect. It is not inherently harmful. It is simply powerful. And power misused enslaves, but power understood frees. Recognize the hidden transaction. Every time you log on, something is exchanged. Your time, your attention, your emotional energy. The Stoic doesn't avoid transactions, they just make them conscious. Ask, what am I paying and what am I receiving? Was this a good use of my time? Do I feel more grounded or less? This kind of reflection turns passive consumption into purposeful practice. Design a relationship, not a reaction. Instead of letting social media define your day, define your terms of use. Time, how long will I be here? Set limits before opening the app. Purpose, why am I here right now? To connect, to learn, to share. Presence, am I aware of how this is affecting me moment to moment? You don't need strict rules. You need clear relationships, boundaries rooted in love for your own peace. The Stoic doesn't lock the door out of fear. They simply decide when and how to open it. Create, don't just consume. There's a difference between scrolling endlessly and sharing meaningfully. You don't have to be an influencer to influence. You don't need followers to lead by example. Share ideas that bring clarity. Tell stories that carry depth. Support people whose presence uplifts. Use your platform not for noise, but for nourishment. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Today you can learn and teach through what you choose to post, support, and celebrate. Make your digital presence an extension of your deepest values. Make social media a mirror, not a master. Look at your feed as a reflection of your habits. Does it show your highest self or your distracted one? Don't be afraid of what you see. Use it. Curate your space not for aesthetic but for alignment. Let every account you follow remind you of who you want to become. Because you're not just building a feed, you're building a philosophy of attention. You are still in charge. The world is loud, the apps are clever, the feeds are endless. But you are still the one who decides when to open, when to close, when to pause, when to scroll, when to walk away. You are not a product of this age. You are a participant in it with a soul, a conscience, and a compass. Use it. Final reflection. The quiet power of disciplined presence. The greatest Stoic act isn't deleting your account. It's logging in and staying grounded. It's scrolling and staying serene. It's witnessing noise and not losing your signal. Because when the world demands your attention and you give it your awareness instead, that is mastery. That is freedom. That is Stoicism. You are not here to escape the digital world. You are here to walk through it clear-eyed, slow-breathing, intentional, not as a user, as a philosopher of presence. Final summary. The Stoics' Guide to Navigating Social Media. In an age where attention is currency and distraction is the default, Stoicism offers a powerful alternative, conscious calm and courageous living even online. Throughout this guide, we explored the tension between infinite digital stimulation and our finite human soul. We began by confronting the overwhelm of the endless scroll and slowly, patiently returned to ourselves one principle at a time. From comparison to clarity, from reaction to response, from algorithmic control to inner sovereignty, each section reminded us that we are not passive users, but active participants. We are not here to chase validation, but to practice virtue. Stoicism doesn't ask you to abandon the internet or judge those who live differently. It asks you to reclaim ownership of your mind, to protect your peace, and to show up as the best version of yourself, whether online or off. You've learned that logging off can be an act of strength, that scrolling with awareness is a form of meditation, that unfollowing what disturbs your soul is not cruelty, it's discipline. In the end, the Stoic doesn't reject the modern world. They walk through it with intention, with grace, with silence when needed, and with wisdom always. So the next time you open your app, remember the feed may be infinite, but your peace is sacred, and your practice, your presence is enough. You are not just surviving this digital age, you are mastering it with stillness, with clarity, with strength, just like a Stoic.